what's up? It's Matty at mixandmastermysong.com. Today I'm going to kind of continue going over some of these Nebula Acustica audio plugins. They sent over 3 different ones I got here, and these actually work in the new Nebula N4 player. The player is free, the plugins are not, but it's pretty cool because you can pull up different plugins within the player that have kind of the skins of Aqua and stuff like that. So these are third-party companies that are making plugins for the Nebula system, if that makes any sense. And hopefully I explained it correctly. But I'm going to show you just, I've been playing with them for a couple weeks, kind of took my time with it to kind of get my head around it and find what I found worked best for me using these plugins. So hopefully this will be helpful and, give you an idea of some of the things they can do. So first we'll start off with the Mantis compressor. It's by Sound Drops, and it's a pretty basic compressor. I would consider it pretty transparent, and because for transparent things, I like to use it, excuse me, in parallel. And what's really cool about this is you have a high pass frequency, so if you're doing it for drums or whatnot, you can get, not get pumped, not have the bass or the kick get pumped too much, and not have the compressor work too much with under these frequencies. The ratio goes from 1 to 1, 1.5 to 1, all the way to this nuke setting, threshold, input, attack, release, makeup gain, and then the mix knob, which was really great to be included in here, and especially because they thought this could be really good for using in parallel. So on this, I'm using this vocal by my buddy Sammy Adams again. Let me turn this guy off. We'll save this for last. So this is just the compressor with a little EQ and verb and stuff, but and I'm using it as a parallel setting. The mix is at 32, so I'll let you hear it.
Lonely every time I leave. Isn't a broken heart if it doesn't bleed. I know you're lonely every time I leave. Isn't a broken heart if it doesn't bleed. I know you're lonely every time I leave. Isn't a broken heart if it doesn't bleed.
So you can hear when I bypassed it, it kind of pushed back a bit. So it's a really nice, clean parallel. I've been using it on vocals for parallel. I've been using it on bass parallel, and I've also used it on drums a bit parallel. Let's pull these guys up so you can hear it. There we go. So you can hear when it's on, that's on. Just some of you guys, I assume everyone uses Studio One, and I shouldn't. This is off, this is on, okay? So I'm sure you could probably hear the difference, but just in case. So you can tell, same thing, it kind of brings the drums forward. Really kind of nice. We can even bring this high pass so the kick doesn't get hit so much. And then now we can probably bring our threshold up. So yeah, really clean, really great compressor. I actually dig this thing a lot, and I have been using it, like I said, on parallel quite a bit, and it's awesome, man. I do recommend this one. Okay, so the next on the block is this Tokyo. It's a 2BQ. It's by London Acoustics. The Tokyo 2BQ, and this thing's pretty sweet, man. It's warm sounding, but very transparent. Not super warm, but definitely transparent. It's really cool at carving the frequencies out, and it sounds just good. There's not much more to say. This is something actually, I was doing some research online. they talked about this curve here for drums. You boost the low and cut the mid lows on there. And then I just also, on this version, I boosted the highs just a bit. I got to turn those on. So let me play this with and without it. Let's turn off our compressor just so we're hearing things the way we hear them. So this is with it on, and then I'll turn it. Actually, we'll turn it off, and then I'll bring it on. Pretty big difference. You'll dig it. Pretty cool, right? Might not even need this high end here. Let's hear it without that. And then, of course, you can, if you need more mid-range, you want a little more snare on there, we can boost around too, around there. That also kind of brings our kick out a bit more too. But this thing's awesome. Like I said, I've used it on drums quite a bit. I've used it on vocals a couple times. Might just need to spend some more time with it. I found the mids and the highs to be good on vocals. But yeah, this thing's, you heard the difference in the drums. It's pretty substantial what it can do. And another great EQ out of the way too many EQs I already have. But I'm starting to incorporate it on my drum bus. If you see my other videos, I have my drum bus and then my parallel drums. I've been using it on the parallel drums as well with this compressor, and then just leaving my normal drum bus alone to keep the natural sound of my drums. But yeah, pretty great EQ. So that brings me to the last guy, and this EQ, I have a love-hate relationship with this EQ. I started using this EQ on vocals. Just so you know, it's the Bronze EQ by Dibby Quadro, I believe. That's how you say it. Hopefully that's right. And I fell in love with this EQ. This thing sounds so good. I mean, really good. It reminds me of a Millennium. Maybe it's an emulation of it. I don't know. But it sounds kind of like it, but man, does it sound good. Let me play this vocal. So just so you can see what I got a really high boost at 25,000. The times 10 just times the frequencies by 10, if you don't know. I actually want to do a little bit of a wider shelf. There's your Q. Gain at +6 here. Here I'm cutting a bit at 350 with a pretty tight Q. And I think that's it. A little boost at 100, just bring a little warmth back in. But let me play it before and after. So this is without. Orange is without. Oh, let me switch to the vocal. So we're doing this on a vocal. This is actually probably more so a mastering EQ. And the part let me tell you before I play it, let me tell you the part I don't like about it. It sucks the living daylights of the CPU. I'm on an iMac Pro, and I didn't really think of it, think it was going to, take so much CPU. So I used like 6 of them on different vocals for a mix without even thinking. And then I got down to time to bounce, and I couldn't even bounce. I mean, I had a lot going on in the session, but this thing was sucking some juice. Let's see if it shows up right now. It might not show up right now, but for some reason, it was taking a lot of CPU. I mean, there's barely anything on this session. We got 18%. That's not much. But anyway, let's play it. In that session, it was a CPU hog. So that's been my issue with it. I wish they could make it a little more CPU friendly, and then I'd love to use it on vocals all the time because this thing is sick. All right, enough of me talking. Here it is, without and then with.
Lonely every time I leave. Isn't a broken heart if it doesn't bleed. I wind chill while the journey winds. Live now when there isn't time. I know you're lonely every time I leave. Isn't a broken heart if it doesn't bleed. Wind chill while the journey winds. Live now when there isn't time. I know you're lonely every time I leave. Isn't a broken heart if it doesn't bleed. Wind chill while the journey winds. Live now when there isn't time. I know.
Hey man, doesn't that sound amazing? I love this EQ. It just, I mean, it brings life to the vocal. You get that kind of 3D big feel of analog. Really, really super great. And I used it on one mastering song. I don't have it here set up in the master, and it was great. It was helpful just to do some slight boosts, and it did give it quite a great sound. So, love this EQ. Out of the three, this is probably my favorite. But it's also not my favorite because I can't use it that much. Maybe I need to go back and try. What I ended up doing was just busting all the vocals to one track and then just putting the EQ on that because I'd mixed the song like that and it was just had that sound. I couldn't not use it. And the way I was using things, rendering was just getting kind of weird. Might have just been the session, but I've talked to some other people and it's been told, you know, their opinion was that this is pretty almost too CPU intensive. Anyway, all these plugins are great. Like I said, I really did the compressor for parallel, and this EQ, I think there's more to it than I've probably shown you, and I need to give this one some more time, but this thing is awesome. On the drums especially, like we listened, really, really something special. So why don't you go check them out. You can download them at their website. Just get the free player, and then you can download these demos, and they open right up. I'll show you. You just go to the Finder. And this is cool, this whole new system. It has them broken down into pre's, dynamics, and EQs, and you can just pick whichever one you want to use. So a really cool new way of doing things here. So hopefully it was helpful. Like I said, check them out. If you got any comments or any tricks you're using with these that I didn't bring up that you found really helpful, leave them in the comments below so we can all kind of learn from you. Please like and subscribe if you can. And if you need your songs mixed and mastered, hit me up at Matty@mixandmastermysong.com. Thanks.